So today we're talking about community homeworks. So you'll learn about how the organization's three core programs, critical home repairs, tool lending, and hands-on education work together to create safer, more stable, and more sustainable homes for today and for future generations. Launched in 2025, the Community Homeworks Tool Library is the organization's third and newest core program and now includes a collection of more than 1,000 tools. The presentation will explore how this innovative new program complements existing services and helps address a critical gap for homeowners working to maintain and preserve their homes. Chris Praedel is a lifelong Kalamazoo resident who currently serves as the executive director of a local nonprofit organization, Community Homeworks, which is dedicated to helping families remain safely and sustainably housed through critical home repairs, hands-on education, and tool lending. He has served in this role since 2020. He also currently serves on the Kalamazoo City Commission and is now serving his second four-year term, where he has worked on issues related to housing, infrastructure, youth, parks, public safety, and good governance. During his tenure, Chris has served as liaison to multiple city boards and commissions and participated in key research and policy committees. He is a graduate of Kalamazoo Central High School and Western Michigan University, where he earned a BA in management and previously served with Teach for America while earning a master's degree in teaching. Chris and his family have lived in the Millwood neighborhood for more than a decade, where he and his wife, Erin, are raising their three sons. So now you know a little bit more about Chris, hopefully, and he will explain to us more about the community homeworks.
Hey, thanks, Nikki. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. It's a little bit gusty out there today, so hopefully you're keeping everything in place outdoors today. Really appreciate the time and the opportunity to visit you again after a couple of years. We have had a ton that has happened in that time, including really. I was just inventorying all the different ways that we've interacted with KC3 and Jenny and you and your team just in the last year. And it's pretty remarkable. I even forgot about some of the ways that we've engaged with each other. And so I'm really excited to share some of those ways that we're partnering with each other. And we're actually partnering with each other in a really big way right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. But I think the way that this works is we'll keep going and plugging along. They've asked me to go for about 35 minutes or so we can provide some time for questions at the end. So, if you want to just, as you're thinking of them, put them in the chat, or if you just want to jot it down for the end, we can come back to it. If we run out of time, I'm going to give you my email at the end, and that way you can always reach out to me directly, and I can talk with you one-on-one, or I could provide a response by email so that somebody from KC3 could follow up as well. So just know that that's an opportunity. It's got a lot of information to share with y'all, and I'm going to get going here. So I feel like I'd be remiss if I did not show the masterpiece that KC3 displayed in their front window downtown for our gingerbread house contest. But every time I look at this, I have to just smile because this is all made out of edible things. And so we do a signature event every December to raise funds for the work that we do and for our mission. And KC3, being a great partner, worked really hard as a team to create this. But you can see there's solar panels, there's a wind turbine, the water barrel with little pretzels running to it. If you look at the garden, the detail is so great that they actually found candy-looking shaped vegetables that they put in there as well. So that was a lot of fun, and they actually won one of our 5 trophies for the event as well, for the creativity for that as well. So I feel like I had to start that off that way with the presentation because it was just a lot of fun, and it was just an example of how we work together to support each other in this nonprofit work. Just a kind of a recap, since the last time we got together, we actually updated our mission statement, and we went through a 9-month strategic planning process that we're underway with right now. And one of the things that we did is we updated our mission statement just a couple ways. So one of the things that we changed is you're going to notice the word stable there. And that is a very common word that kind of summarizes how what we hear from people we serve and what they say they feel after we've come into their home and done work. They feel like a load of bricks has been lifted off their shoulders. So we added safe, stable, and sustainable homes for generations. Generations is another thing we added. The reason being is because the work that we're doing isn't about just doing something for today. It's creating intergenerational wealth that will last for generations and skills that will last for generations. And then our vision statement, we want a Kalamazoo County that is fully transformed by people thriving in sustainable homes. So one of the things I like to kind of frame this with, and this is something I'm trying to do a better job with as well, is that emphasizing that we should stand tall and proud to emphasize that housing justice, or housing is social justice. It's one of the greatest social justice issues of our time. We believe work in the housing sphere is an integral part of that social justice and believe that it's a basic human need, that everybody should have a safe, stable place to call home. And part of the reason we see ourselves as so integral to this work of social justice in housing is because wages are not keeping pace with housing costs. And it's not just renters that are facing that. Homeowners are facing that as well. Mortgages are more challenging than ever before, home prices, and even accessing home equity loans when issues arise in your home. And then on top of that, you're facing inflationary pressures, everything from your water, sewer, utility bill to electrical bill to the cost it costs to bring a plumber to your house than it did, say, 5 years ago. And then the last part of it is just that not everybody has the skill or physical ability or the financial means to tackle the things they need to in their home. So that's why we really frame it as a social justice issue. So one of the things that I love about our organization is at the end of the day, our work is meant to just keep people in the homes that they have. And we do that in 3 ways. So one of the ways is we do it through education. We provide empowering workshops to folks. The idea is that education is kind of almost like if you were thinking about us as a hospital system, our critical home repair system is kind of like the ER or the urgent care. Our education programs and our tool library are kind of like meant to be a preventative wellness type program to prevent people from having to end up in the ER in the first place. So our education programs are really meant to empower people to learn the skills and knowledge they need to prevent things from happening in their home in the first place. Now, if something does happen in their home and they don't have the skill, physical ability, or money to take care of it, we go into the home and tackle health and safety specific repairs. So they have to be health or safety specific and they have to be in their lived space. And we do those free of cost. And so our team is actually out working on homes right now today. And then our newest program, Nikki talked about this in the intro as well, which we are so excited about. We're coming up on our 1st year anniversary, is our new tool library, which is now the largest tool library in Southwest Michigan with over 1,000 tools. So altogether, these are 3 things that form a continuum of helping people thrive in their homes. The other thing I'm really proud of about the way that we do our work is we do case management for our homeowners. And so for each person who comes through our doors to get home repairs, they are assigned a case manager who stays with that family from start to finish, from the time they're working on the application to the time they sign off on their project and everything in between. And they help provide other resources, referrals to other organizations that can help them. And that's something that's really a standout to me besides just doing the work that we do as well. And then the last part of it is the navigation support. Our team is thoroughly trained on the front end. So if somebody calls and we can't help them, hopefully we can suggest somebody to refer them to help them with. If you're not familiar with it, our organization was founded in 2009 during the Great Recession by our 2 co-founders who are now married, Sean and Emily Wright. And I'm sure many of you know Sean and Emily in the community because they are very active in the climate space. And they both at the time were Habitat for Humanity, AmeriCorps volunteers. And they started to notice this missing middle. So people who had an issue that weren't being served. They were working with Habitat and building these like beautiful from scratch homes that were certified in energy efficiency and all those measures. But they saw homes next to the homes that they were building where there were major issues that were happening and families were being displaced or living in unsafe conditions because of the issues in the home. And so they have this very simple idea. It's a great example of social entrepreneurism. And they had this idea and they went around to other nonprofits trying to see if somebody else would tackle the work that we do now. And they couldn't find anybody to take it up. So they applied for one $25,000 grant. And now that $25,000 grant is turned into a $2.5 million organization that serves hundreds of families in our county per year. So I'm going to go through a real quick, the case for rehab, the work that we do. And so I'm going to try to boil this down as quickly as possible to share. But the reality is the greenest building is the one that already is built. Let's face that. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about why that is. So building new requires more heavy energy for raw material extraction, transporting, sometimes from overseas, and fabrication of a final product. So whether that be lumber or steel or the different things that you're installing in the home as well. When you're rehabilitating a home, you're really leveraging the energy that's already been extracted to make that existing structure exist. So demolition and construction debris is a huge problem for us. I mean, even just transporting it to wherever it ends up eventually. In the United States alone, over 600 million tons annually end up at the dump from just demolition and construction debris in the United States. I mean, that's huge. And renovation avoids this waste in many cases. And in many ways, we can salvage and reuse a lot of the pieces. And a lot of times in the older homes that we're using, they end up being reused or repurposed. So the other thing as well is that by us maintaining the housing stock that exists already, we're preventing that urban sprawl, and we're preserving those greenfield sites from being destroyed for purposes of building new neighborhoods or new homes or new apartment complexes. So there's a huge environmental impact just on the natural habitats in our community. These are just a couple of stats, and I'll share the source as well here in a second, but reusing a structure can save the carbon equivalent of 93 cars driving for a full year in a single house. And it also takes between 10 to 15 years of operational energy savings for a new green building to offset the initial carbon cost of construction. So that's a long time to try to make up for that, just because there's so much that's lost by trying to reconstruct and demolition what was there before. And then the other thing, this is the part that I really see a huge connectivity between what KC3 is doing right now, is that really what we're doing is, because we're doing the basic fundamental health and safety things you need to thrive in your home as repairs, we're really setting the groundwork so that someday these individuals are in a place where they can tap into green technology or weatherization work in their home. And why that's important is because let's say there's even grants or donors that want to help a low-income family get solar on their roof. If their roof is decaying and about to fall through, they're not going to be a good candidate for solar. If they have a leak in their roof, probably not going to be a good candidate for attic insulation. If they want to get their house air sealed, but they have air quality issues or mold in the home, probably not going to be a good candidate to seal in the harm that would be caused in their home. And if we wanted to get electrification technology in their home, probably not the best idea if their electrical grid is already sparking and catching on fire. So all these things, if we can help people foundationally get set up, when the resources do become available or they are able to start tapping into those green technologies or the weatherization in their home, they're going to be able to do those things. So the source that I used for some of those statistics was the U of M Center for Sustainable Systems. They have this really neat graph that shows the source of household emissions. And so they have everything from like how the food that we eat counts towards that, how the goods and services that we use count towards that. But look at the second largest bar there of the home, and how much how much of an impact that's having on CO2 emissions and the impact of a house. So nationwide, the impact our homes have or our lived environments have are huge on the impact environmentally. So one of the things that I like to ask folks is, and we'll kind of take a pause here, but when you think of, and maybe you could just write these in the chat, or if you want to unmute for a second and share, but when you think of the housing crisis, what are the first things that come to mind to you? What are the things that kind of popcorn into your head when you think of the housing crisis? So one is, Nikki said lack of affordable housing. Christy said unaffordable housing, unaffordable water bills. Tom said insufficient income. Mark said limited low-cost housing being constructed, shortage of affordable housing. Those are all great contributions. Homelessness, yeah. Policy decisions. Thank you, Nora. Anything else? False scarcity. Okay. So you can see that there are a ton of just different reasons. There are probably dozens, if not hundreds of reasons and roots to the housing crisis. There are some that are much larger than others that could impact fast, but there are a lot of key ingredients. But the reality is like one of the things that gets forgotten when you think about a housing crisis, a lot of times people, the first thing that comes to mind is homelessness or the unhoused or apartments and creating more affordable apartments. And that is a very integral part to that equation. One of the things that for many, many years got forgotten is rehabbing the homes that already exist. And the reason that's important is because it's kind of like, I'm going to show you an image here in a second about a sinking ship. So there's a lot of great organizations that are doing the work of taking the buckets of water out of the sinking ship that's filling with water. There's a lot of great organizations that are building new ships. We are in the business of plugging the hole and stopping it from filling with water. And so if we didn't do the work that we had, we would have hundreds of people in Kalamazoo County who have homes that they love and want to be in, that they would lose and then have to find new housing. So that means that on top of all the other people who are already struggling to find affordable housing, who are struggling to get housed, they would have to compete with the hundreds of people who had homes but now don't have one because their house is no longer safe or healthy enough to live in, or because it's deteriorated to a point that it has to be demolished. And so we are a key component to preventing the housing crisis from getting even further out of hand. And my firm belief in the work that we do, and as much as we've studied this work, the next great housing crisis that we're going to see, probably still in our lifetime, is the aging housing stock. Disproportionately in communities like Kalamazoo, people who are ending up in some of the oldest homes in our community, and especially in our core neighborhoods, are those who are most ill-equipped to afford the challenges that come up in those homes. And that will compound after a while. And this is going to have to be an integral solution to it, or we're going to end up in a place where these amazing neighborhoods that we have in our community will have more vacant lots than they do homes. And so we can do something about it now. We can do something about it proactively. And it's going to do something that improves and enhances the environment in the process of doing it. The other thing I like to share too is if you're familiar, just by raise of hands, how many people have driven by the senior complex that's on Rose Street near downtown that just went up? Has anybody seen that recently? So great unit, great development to try to create some more additional affordable housing for seniors in our community. And the per unit cost for that was almost $400,000. Does anybody want to take a guess about how much we're spending in a typical home to keep a family in their home through home rehab that we do? So somebody said 40,000, somebody said 10,000, yeah, two $10,000 guesses. So you're pretty close, Kate and Tom. We actually spend between $5,000 and $10,000 in most repair cases scenarios to help keep a family in their home. So again, if you're in a housing crisis and you're thinking about the ROI of impact, is keeping somebody in their home is one of the most economical ways to address the housing crisis. So the average age of a house that we serve, this year, the average age actually went down. And we were trying to figure out why it went down so much. And we figured out it was because we started serving mobile home units this last year. But the average age last year was 97 years old, average age. Most of many of the homes that we serve, especially in Edison and some of the other core neighborhoods, are over 100 years. They're amazing, beautiful houses with strong bones. And then 84% of the homes we served were pre-1978. 1978 is an important number because that was the year that lead paint was banned in homes. And the oldest home that we served was 149 years old. 149 years old. I wanted to show everybody just kind of like how much we're trying to keep up with growth as an organization. So back in 2022, and I think that was maybe the last, it was either 2022 or 2023 was the last time I was with you. These are the number of homes that we served in some capacity in their home. This last year, it went up all the way to 348 homes. And then this number, this is the one that I find most staggering. So this is the number of homes that we completed work in. So when I say we completed work, I'm talking about homeowner reaches out. Maybe they're calling because their hot water heater went out. And we go into the home to do a pre-inspection and see that they have scorch marks up their electrical outlets. They have a ceiling fan that's hanging from the wires from the ceiling. So oftentimes we'll work with that homeowner and say, hey, we can help you with your hot water heater, but we also saw these other things that we could help you tackle. And so when I say completed households, I'm talking about all the work done in the household was complete. And in 2024, we completed the work in households in 127 homes. And a year later, in 2025, that was 241, which is a 90% increase of number of homes served. This was almost the first year that we almost surpassed. We came very close to investing $1 million in homes in our core neighborhoods in the city of Kalamazoo. $1 million. And that's not money that is money for that homeowner and that family to preserve that intergenerational wealth. That's equity in their home. So talked a little bit about this exciting new partnership with Kalamazoo Climate Crisis Coalition. So KC3 worked really, really hard to raise a significant amount of money, especially after losing that amazing $19 million EPA grant that was set to be in our community. And so they really wanted to raise money for a pilot home to work with. And so we connected with each other, and knowing that we've worked with over 300 families, said like, hey, who is somebody that you know that really could use a lot of work in their home? And we helped them identify a household on the east side. It's a single mom with 3 kids, is semi-houseless because of the challenges in the home. And it's definitely not a safe home to be in. And so KC3 raised the funds, and they've been working to help secure this family temporary funding this last week. And last fall, Community Homeworks, we did the water heater and did basically all the foundational plumbing in the house as a starting place. And then our crew is in that home. So our entire construction crew this week is in the home all week. They're actually drywalling their brand new kitchen right now. And we're hoping to work on their other 2 bathrooms to stabilize those for them as well. KC3 is hoping to work on some appliances and furnishings. And then Consumers Energy, we referred them, and Consumers Energy is going to tackle some things like windows and some other things in the home as well. This family's life trajectory is going to be forever changed. This young mom is going to be able to confidently live in a stable, safe home for her and her family. And this is a great example of 2 organizations with a shared vision tackling the home project where we couldn't have done it by ourselves. And so hats off to Jenny, Stephanie, and their team for working together to try to accomplish this. So hopefully this house before the end of March will be pretty dang rocking for this family. I'm going to gloss over this very quickly, but one of the programs that I'm particularly proud of is our Safe Start Home Repair program. We internally fundraise for this program, and we use all these funds exclusively for households with either expectant moms or small children in the home. And the idea with that is it started with an idea because Kalamazoo County at the time had one of the highest infant mortality rates, not only in the state, but in the country. And so one of the things that they listed was environmental, which means that a lot of times there's environmental issues that are impacting either mom's health preterm or baby's health in the home. So it could be like co-sleeping, sleeping with too many blankets. It could be too hot. So we raise over $100,000 a year to support households in those situations where the paperwork's easier, we can use more subcontractors, and we can move faster. And we have helped dozens of families with this program already, and including gun violence, households that experience gun violence in the home. We've helped prevent CPS from having to separate families because of the condition of the home. A lot of amazing work has been able to be do with this fund, and not that we could even remotely take a portion of any of the credit. It takes a village, but I was so excited. I'm sure you saw the news about this too, but they announced recently that Kalamazoo County reported the lowest infant mortality rate in the entire state of Michigan out of 83 counties. And so, there's a lot of great work being done by a lot of great focusing on early life. We also started a program called our code enforcement program. And the idea with this is we recognize that a lot of times people get cited for issues on the exterior of their home. And more often than not, they can't afford the improvements, or they can't physically do it or have the skill. And so they were getting effectively fines or citations for not being able to afford what the issue is. So now we have a partnership with the city where the city code enforcement officers come meet with us once a month, and we strategize and prioritize homes. And as soon as that homeowner can show that they're in our queue to work with us, they are not cited or receive any letters until that work's done, and we do it for them for free of charge. And then the other thing too, we're constantly looking to reduce barriers. We've co-founded what's called the Housing Resource Roundtable. We get together every month with every person who does intake in the community for different housing organizations and share information, see if somebody else can help us when we can't tackle something. And it's just been a great way to work together. And then these are just some of the ways that we have worked to try to reduce barriers. We went to the Kalamazoo Literacy Council, had them reduce our reading level from 11th grade to 6th grade on all of our documents. We are translating everything into Spanish. We have interpreter access. And then I mentioned a little bit about our handy at home workshops. Totally free to attend. They're very hands-on and interactive, like Nikki was talking about. We also put them on YouTube. So if you want to watch a number of them, you can watch them on YouTube. And then this year, we're actually launching a family workshop where families with young kids can come and learn how to do things. And then we're also doing some satellite offsite. So we've got a couple at Douglas Community Association, and then at Portage Senior Center this year as well. And then we also have green themed workshops. So everything from how people can build their own rain barrel on the spot to caulking and sealing, or we just did 2 window repair classes with Sharon Ferraro. So we really try to find some unique ways to help people to find practical ways to tackle a more green home. And in fact, we've got a home energy efficiency workshop with Consumers Energy at the Douglas coming up on Tuesday, April 21st at 6 o'clock. And then our tool library, I'm super proud of that work as well. I mentioned it's suggested membership to join, so it's a pay what you can model. The only 2 requirements to join our tool library is that you have to be over 18 and a Kalamazoo County resident. It's a trust-based model. And one of the first things that people often ask me is, how many things are getting lost or damaged? Well, the answer to that is we've almost been open a year, and the only thing that we've lost is 1 shovel out of the 1,000 tools. So we're doing pretty good. We also have a membership for nonprofits. So we actually work with Building Blocks, and for their build days, they come in all the tools they use for those days they're getting from the tool library. And, you know, in terms of what's green about a tool library, well, we're reducing consumption and waste, and that have to have it all culture. We're encouraging a repair culture. We're creating a sharing economy, and we don't use any gas or oil items. We have everything battery powered now as well. So even our Ego outdoor power tools. I wanted to share really quick. So thanks to KC3 also, the team donated an infrared thermometer that's in the tool library that you can check out. We have a handheld vane. It's called an anemometer. So basically like reading wind, you know, if you will, which can be great to kind of identify if there's any air that's seeping into your house. And then we have a really sweet, pretty expensive thermal camera that you can check out as well. So we actually have we're building a bigger and bigger collection of things that people can use. And there was even a homeowner that has a tiny home that came and borrowed tools and a ladder to install solar panels on the roof. So the tool library has really been a great asset in the green economy of our community as well. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip over this a little bit, but this has a little bit of statistics about our impact. 64% of all of our work, so almost 2/3 of all of our work, even though we're Kalamazoo County wide, occurred in our core neighborhoods in the city of Kalamazoo. And I'm really proud of that because we are very intentional about where we market, where we do outreach events, almost exclusively in these neighborhoods. So our numbers show that. And then we have a podcast that's pretty neat. If you get a chance to listen into that, you can access it from our website. But we put out a new episode every month, and you can hear participant stories or hear from our staff or volunteers. Anyways, so I'm going to stop there. I think I kept it pretty dang close to the time you had asked.
Yes, you did. Congratulations. I'm going to ask one question before we open it up. You have a tools library. How do we find out what tools are available?
That's a great question, Nikki. So we have on our website, if you go to communityhomeworks.org, there's a programs tab at the top. And then if you click on tool library, and if you scroll down, our entire catalog of over 1,000 tools are cataloged on our website. There's a search bar, so you can search for different terms. Like if you were to search for ladder, all the ladders would show up. If you were to type in drill, all the different drills will show up. And then if you click on it, it'll show you if it's checked out, when it will be back. It'll tell you how much it would have cost you to buy that new in the store. And then actually one of the really cool things too is the system that we use. It's called My Turn. It's actually going to actually be able to inventory our green impact by rentals. So in the next year, we'll hopefully be able to start sharing how much CO2 emissions we prevented from having the tool library. We'll be able to share how much money we've saved the community from it, how many pounds of waste we've prevented from sending to a landfill. So pretty cool stuff. It's neat.
Is there a way of reserving a tool that's out so that you can get it in a timely fashion?
Yeah, there is a tool for that for members if with their login. And the other thing too is people can always reach out to even when we're not open hours to call and say, hey, could you hold on to that for me until I can be there, or something like that as well.
Okay. I see multiple hands up by now. So Mark was the first one up.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Mark.
I'm interested in getting just a better feeling that this is related to Nikki's question on the tool library. Could you give us like one or two examples of the most typical kinds of things that someone may have the skills to do? Then there might be they might need to build the skill, but I'm talking here about cases where the person just needs a tool and already has the skill to do a repair, which might be critical.
Yeah.
Just some examples.
Yeah. So one of the greatest examples, so when we have any workshop in our education center here, so it won't work for the satellite workshops, but whenever we have a workshop, the last one we did was a plumbing systems workshop. So they're showing different tools and things you can use for a plumbing project. And sometimes people are coming with specific plumbing needs that they're having. We keep our tool library open while the workshop's going on. So literally that person can learn the skill, identify from an inventory from the class what tools they're going to need to tackle the project, and then go upstairs and sign up for a membership and start checking stuff out that same time. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, it's very seamless, connectivity. We have a decent number of people who are very handy folks that really have a lot of skill and knowledge about the work that they're doing who are members. And they might have something specifically in mind, and they'll come right in and know exactly what they want after searching it. Sometimes there's people who have a job that they need to tackle. So say they're redoing their kitchen. And sometimes people will come to our front counter, and the first question that our team will ask is, what are you working on? And so they'll say, okay, I'm working on my kitchen, but they don't know where to even begin, right, about what they need. And so our team will kind of sit and walk through with them to say, well, what are you working on first? Oh, you're doing the plumbing under the sink first. Okay, well, let us go show you the plumbing tools that we have. Or, okay, you're going to be working on the new cabinetry. You might want to consider these tools for it. And then the beauty is that as we're learning from people what they're using and asking for, it enables us to kind of have our team become kind of resident experts to help the next person who comes by with a similar problem to help them tackle it. I would say the most common, it's a great question, Mark. We have had such a wide spectrum of different needs that people have come for. I mean, everything from fixing their cars to, just outdoor lawn equipment. I would say, like this time of year, we're going to see a huge uptick of outdoor lawn tools. And we've noticed a kind of a dip in people wanting things in January and February, which makes sense because people just don't work on as much during those months. But yeah, I'm just trying to think through. I think probably a lot of our like power tools, like our drills and those kind of things, seem to be pretty popular. And yeah.
There's a question in the chat. If you fix up these homes, does that raise the taxes?
No, it should not until they move.
That's what I thought, but
Mhm.
okay.
That's a great
Tom,
question.
hands up.
Yeah, I wonder, Chris, if you have the ability to accept excess materials from builders or homeowners who are doing do-it-yourself projects.
Mhm. That's a really great idea. We don't currently, and I don't know if you're asking more specifically to like our critical home repair team or like the tool library, but I'll answer both really quick if that's cool. So our critical home repair program, we typically they do not, just because a lot of times they want to make sure that from a liability perspective that we know can trace the exact route of where the products are coming from, from the store to the home. But there have been some rare exceptions. A lot of times we'll go to like a Habitat Restore, or we go to Heritage downtown where they have a lot of like reused historic home items that we can't find or source somewhere. For our tool library, we don't currently take any donations for the tool library. However, we're actually eyeing, we're going to hopefully have a first anniversary party for our tool library, first birthday party at the end of June for the tool library. But our hope is that every year after that, we're thinking about doing a used tool sale. And in the process of that year, collecting tools and storing them that are all in really good condition and whatnot. And then what we would do is we would have kind of a garage sale day on the anniversary. And then the idea would be is then we would use the proceeds from that sale to reinvest back into the tool library. And so it's kind of a win-win. We're trying to prevent things from going to landfill. We're trying to make sure that things get new homes and get repurposed. But it's also would help reinvest in the organization. So the donations to the tool library are still to come, but hopefully soon.
Okay. Susan?
Okay, yeah, this is great, Chris. Thank you. So you do weatherization, I assume, like weather stripping and things like that, energy efficiency. Do you do anything with insulation? And also, I'm curious, do you have any formal or informal data on people saving on their utility bills before and after?
Sure. Yeah, that's a really good question. So the vast majority of the homes are in such challenging condition that we're not necessarily like say doing a full attic insulation or that sort of thing. We're just trying to stabilize it to make sure that they can stay bare bones safe, with the situation. However, a lot of the things that we're doing, like right now in the home that we're working with KC3, yesterday they spent the whole day re-insulating the entire new kitchen. And how cool is that? Because that's going to be a huge change, I'm sure, for that family. And so using like modern grade insulation behind those walls, making sure that things are sealed up better than they maybe were beforehand and whatnot. They put in a new energy efficient window above what's going to be the sink. And so, so that's really cool to see and stuff. So it happens very organically, I guess, if that makes any sense, based on the work that we're having to do anyways to kind of stabilize the situation. One of the if you look at our like profit and loss statement, one of the major areas for home repair are our HVAC equipment that we use. And we really try to use like wall mounted tankless water heaters, high efficiency furnaces and whatnot. And so there is no doubt many savings with that. But the other thing that is really magical too is that our team does a really good job of educating people too. So if you get a new furnace with Community Homeworks, we teach people that you really need to, if you want to have super energy efficiency with your new furnace and want to save money, one of the best ways to do it is to change your filter on a regular basis. And so our team will sit and show them how to do that. And then we go so far as we actually sell filters at cost here at our organization. So what would normally cost $40 for a new replacement at a department store, we sell them at cost at like $15 to try to encourage or incentivize people to be more energy efficient with their appliances. And then even for the tool library, we even put these really cool buckets together that basically have everything that you would need to work on or basically descale your water heaters. And so to make those more energy efficiency. So there's these buckets and they've got all the hoses you could need and everything. And so literally it's a ready to go bucket of everything you need to clear out your water heater. So more than just the work we're doing in homes, we're helping people learn how to just low hanging, easy ways to make their appliances in their home more energy efficient as well. So one of the things in our strategic plan is to identify kind of a base sample of homes to do kind of like a pre and post assessment of energy usage. And that includes like looking at their energy bills. And so that's kind of something that's aspirational that we're hoping to do in the next 2 to 3 years as part of our strategic plan, just to see, because it would be a really neat case study to show people the actual concrete numbers that we're seeing of improvements. Yeah.
I'm going to tack onto that if I can. So Chris and I have chatted about how to track that better, and it's hard to get data unless we're getting it directly from the homeowner. So that is one of the things that so on this house that we're working on, we requested an energy bill from before the project started, and then we will do the same thing for all of the homes that we work with, and then get a follow-up energy bill so that we can compare. I think that's the best way to get that information to see how much they're saving. But
For
thanks,
sure.
Chris.
Yeah, thanks.
Tom?
Okay, another question for you, Chris. I lived in Washtenaw County for many years, and the County Home Builders Association had something they called Christmas in July, where licensed contractors donated their time on the weekends with the workers who wanted to donate their time to do these kind of critical repairs. And I'm wondering if there's such a thing in Kalamazoo County.
I think the closest thing right now is Kalamazoo Valley Habitat for Humanity. They still have a volunteer corps of folks that are working with them as an organization sometimes, and I believe even in some of their critical home repair situations. We have not gotten into that space yet, but I think it's a really smart area that we should look into. Even if it's just like a ramp day where we do 5 porches on a Saturday in the summer or something like that. I think that's definitely an area that we could look at growing and doing. The other thing that we're looking at as a volunteer opportunity at some point in the next year or two is every single home that we go into gets upgraded smoke and CO detectors if they don't have them, and it's an astonishing number of homes that don't have working smoke and CO detectors, which ironic, the scary part is that they're often the homes that probably need them the most. And one of the things that we would like to do is start a pilot program that basically offers smoke CO detectors at no cost without having to go through a whole application process. And we were thinking that would be a great program to have volunteers, maybe maybe they go out twice a month on a Friday and install them for a household. And so we're just trying to find some other unique ways like that we can maybe involve volunteers or, crews or organizations. The other thing too, we've thought about is that, if we're an HVAC company, if we were an HVAC company and one of the bigger ones, and we developed a relationship and said, would you just commit to donating 1 install per year? And if we could get, 5 different HVAC companies to do that, that would be huge. That'd be a $25,000 plus investment. Or same thing for roof companies or something like that. So it's definitely something that's percolated as an idea that we'd like to approach at some point. It's just a question of when we can get to it. So yeah, thanks, Tom.
Christy?
Hi, thank you. Super interesting, all this work that you do, and thank you for the work that you guys do in the community. I'm curious, you've talked a lot about, energy, HVAC, heating, that type of stuff. A lot of the work that I do is around water and working with people in low income housing or that may be considered squatting and housing that's, not deemed suitable. And they have a lot of plumbing issues. And sometimes that really skyrockets to a point where their water gets turned off. They may potentially lose their kids, and just that ripple effect. So do you guys do any work in the plumbing sphere?
We definitely do. One thing I definitely want to make sure to lift up as well, and I'm putting on my city commission hat for a second. We recently just had an ordinance change that basically tries to make it more helpful in situations where somebody might have had a water leak all winter and not known about it. I actually had a resident reach out last week, and they had an outdoor spigot that was leaking all winter, and they had no idea. And that can be hundreds of dollars of unexpected cost. And so now if they reach out to 311, they should direct them to the help process to try to get that addressed proactively before they get their bill. And I believe there's some paperwork that they have to do or whatnot. So please know that that's a resource as well. We have worked with homes. Oh my gosh. I mean, there was a family, I think last year, where they had a newborn baby that they were bathing with their outdoor hose because they didn't have working plumbing inside. So we definitely do plumbing. Not a lot of times we can't do like full home plumbing replacements and that sort of thing, but a lot of times it's not that complicated to remedy an issue or a leak. And a lot of times those plumbing issues really compound into decaying flooring that become unsafe, or mold and other things as well, and other health and respiratory issues as well. So it can have a huge impact by just having some very simple plumbing things. So yeah, please keep us in mind. I always tell people and you'll the number will come up here. It's the last slide I can put back up again as well, or I could put it in the chat. But when in doubt, just have them call, or if they have a case manager or something, have them call. And I mean, the biggest thing is that they need to have somebody who's identified as the owner of the home. And that could be a kind of maybe more of the issue in a squatting type situation. But if somebody can show that the home ownership and connected to the deed and the latest consumer's energy bill and whatnot, or utility bill, more often than not, we can help them in some way. So when in doubt, just call in and ask, and the other thing that we're really good about as well is we don't publish our application, and we do that very intentionally because especially when you're dealing with federal grants, it's quite a process for the application, and we don't want somebody to waste their time and then find out they're not eligible for something. So what our team does of case managers and intake folks, they actually go through a pre-checklist with the person. So first they'll ask, what's going on in your home? And then they'll say, yeah, I think that's something that would be the type of thing we could help with. And then the other part that they'll do is they'll go through the checklist to make sure that they would even be eligible based on our funding sources. And so that way we don't waste their time if we're not. And then if we can't do it, we try to connect them with other resources, or we're working really hard to try to find other funding sources like that Safe Start program so that the federal restrictions aren't as cumbersome, but please, when in doubt, just call and ask. Yeah.
And
So does the homeowner pay for some of these services, or is this all free to them?
100% free to the homeowner. So we used to have a copayment or copayment that was required, but when I was looking at our financials, I was like, okay, 70% of it isn't getting returned, and I was tired of chasing people for a $25 a month copay, so we just eliminated it. So now we pay 100% of all the repair costs in the home. So if they're eligible, and we almost exclusively serve people under 80% area median income, there is an income threshold, but there is no cost to the homeowner for the services we provide.
okay.
So when we're talking about that $1 million, that's almost $1 million worth of investment directly in their home without having to pay anything back.
Susan?
Yes. I'm wondering, Chris, if you're connected with other nonprofits that do similar work in the state or elsewhere, and have you thought of serving as a resource to help other nonprofits get going in other communities?
Yeah. So that's really a timely question, Susan. So in our strategic plan, we had a point where the board was contemplating, okay, well, do we want to expand to further counties? Do we want to do that? And we decided no, the problems in Kalamazoo are big enough that we can't keep up with those. So we should probably focus here a little bit longer. And however, one of the things that the more and more that we do this, we're getting more calls from people saying, hey, we're looking to start something like this. How do we do this? Or could we see your application because we just got a grant from the federal government? And so what we put in our strategic plan, and I'm going to start on this year, is going around the state and trying to find some initial like kind of founding partners. And the goal is going to be is trying to form a state association. And the state association would have 3 goals. One is advocacy at the state and the federal level to advocate for policy changes. The second one would be education for our teams. So how cool would it be for somebody who has a tool library being able to get together with other people around the state who do tool libraries to talk shop? And then the third one, to your point, would be we would use the state association to train other entities that want to create similar things. And so what we would do is we would use that state conference as a venue where we would all teach anybody who shows up how to create a similar type organization. So this is very aspirational, but it's in our strategic plan. So we're going to make it happen one way or another. But we think it'll be a great way to kind of fill all those boxes or check all those boxes. Sure.
Any last words that you want to leave with anybody?
No, I really appreciate the time, and I can't emphasize enough. Our team just loves the work that we do. We've been so grateful to work with KC3. We just have a lot more work to do, and it's never ending. And so, please help us spread the word that there is a huge need for the work that we do out in the community. We depend on support from so many different entities and people, but one of the best things you can do is just help spread the word, connect us with other opportunities to come present. If you ever are in the area and would love a tour or come meet the team or whatever, just shoot me a note and I'd love to give you a tour or show you our headquarters and yeah, so that's it.
So thank you, Chris.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Chris. That was great.
Thank you.